The lake house had a heartbeat, I swear it did. Every time the wind brushed the water just right, the wooden walls would creak softly, like it was breathing with us. That place wasn't built with luxury in mind. It was built with love, patience, and generations of hands that believed family meant permanence. My earliest memories live there, bare feet on sun, warmed planks, the smell of pine and water mixed with my mother's lemon cleaner. My father's laughter booming across the lake as he taught me how to steer the old fishing boat, his hands hovering near mine, ready to catch me if I failed. This place will always be yours, my grandmother used to say, sitting in her wicker chair by the dock. Her voice was fragile, but her words were iron. Houses come and go, but this is your anchor. When she passed, the lake house came to me. Not as a favor, not as a promise whispered, legally, officially, signed and recorded under my name alone. I was 26, overwhelmed and fiercely proud. It wasn't just a $450,000 property. It was proof that I belonged somewhere in the world. My parents celebrated the day the paperwork cleared. My mother cried and hugged me tightly. My father toasted with cheap champagne and said, "You earned this." I believed him. A year later, I enlisted. The decision didn't come easily. I loved my country, but I loved my family too. Leaving meant distance, silence, and risk. On my last weekend before deployment, we all went to the lake house one more time. We cooked on the old grill. We watched the sunset bleed gold into purple across the water. I walked through every room that night, touching the walls like they were alive. I locked the doors carefully, double, checking everything. When I handed my parents the spare key, my mother pressed it into her purse like it was sacred. "We'll keep an eye on things," she said. "You focus on coming home." At the airport, my father hugged me so hard my ribs hurt. "Your home will be waiting," he promised. I carried those words overseas. Deployment changes the way time moves. Days stretch endlessly while months vanish without warning. The lake house became my mental refuge. When things got loud or dangerous, I closed my eyes and imagined early mornings there. The mist rising from the water, coffee steaming in my hands, the quiet so deep it felt holy. I wrote letters whenever I could. "How's the dock holding up? Did the storm last week damage the roof? Please don't forget to open the windows, mold builds fast." Their replies were always reassuring. "Everything's fine. It's just like you left it. We miss you, we're proud of you." Sometimes my mother sent photos, the lake reflecting the sky, my childhood bedroom untouched, the dock standing strong. Those images kept me steady when fear tried to take root. I trusted them completely. Why wouldn't I? They were my parents, the people who taught me right from wrong, who kissed scraped knees and stayed up late helping with homework. The people who taught me that family doesn't steal from family. 6 months into deployment, I had a dream that the lake house was empty. No furniture, no photos, just bare walls echoing my footsteps. I woke up unsettled, my heart racing, but I brushed it off. War plays tricks on the mind. I didn't know then that the dream wasn't fear, it was a warning. Because while I was standing guard half a world away serving, sacrificing, believing, something precious was already slipping through my fingers. And the people I trusted most were holding the door open. Coming home should have felt like relief. The plane touched down, and for the first time in months, I breathed air that didn't smell like dust or danger. My uniform felt heavier than usual, soaked with exhaustion and anticipation. I didn't go to my parents' house first. I didn't stop to rest. I drove straight to the lake. The familiar road curved through tall trees, their leaves whispering like they always had. But something felt wrong almost immediately. The old wooden gate at the entrance was gone, replaced by a sleek metal one. The hand-carved sign bearing our family name, my grandfather's name, had vanished. My stomach tightened. I slowed the car, my hands gripping the steering wheel. The driveway was freshly paved. New flowers lined the path, flowers I had never planted. And there, parked beside the house, was a silver SUV I didn't recognize. I sat there for a long moment, listening to my heartbeat pound in my ears. Maybe they renovated, I told myself. Maybe they're surprising me. I stepped out of the car and walked up to the front door. Even the door felt different. The handle was new, polished, cold. I knocked. A woman answered, smiling politely, until she saw my face. Yes, she asked. I'm sorry, I said, my voice already shaking. I think there's been a mistake. This is my house. Her smile faded. She glanced behind her, then back at me. We bought this property in December, she said carefully. Are you a relative of the previous owners? The world tilted. My ears rang. No, I whispered. I'm the owner. She frowned, uncomfortable now. We have the deed. Everything was handled through an agent. I stumbled back, my legs weak. The lake behind me blurred with tears. I muttered an apology I don't remember forming and returned to my car. My hands shook as I grabbed my phone. I called my mother first. She didn't answer. I called my father. He sighed like I'd interrupted dinner. What's wrong? Why are there strangers in my house? I demanded. Silence. Then quietly, we were going to tell you. The words struck harder than a slap. Tell me what? We sold it. He said, you were deployed. It made sense. I laughed, a broken, disbelieving sound. You sold my lake house while I was serving overseas. Mom's voice cut in sharply. Don't be dramatic. You weren't even using it. It wasn't yours. I shouted. You had no right. We're your parents. Dad snapped. We raised you. We needed the money. For what? I asked, tears streaming freely now. Life, my mother said coldly. Medical bills, retirement. You'll understand one day. I pulled over because my vision blurred too badly to drive. You forged my signature. I whispered, realization crashing down. Another pause. Dad exhaled. It was just paperwork. That sentence shattered something inside me. I didn't go to their house that night. I didn't scream or beg or threaten. I parked by the lake, on public ground, and slept in my car like a stranger in my own life. Morning light revealed everything I'd lost. The dock, once ours now, had a different name painted on it. The windows reflected a life that no longer included me. I went to the county records office that same day. The clerk looked at my military ID and frowned when she pulled the file. This signature doesn't match, she said quietly. My hands trembled as I held the copies, my name written in my father's clumsy imitation, dates stamped while I was overseas. Consent I never gave. That was the moment my grief hardened into something else, not rage, resolve. They had taken my home, my memories, my trust, but they had underestimated one thing. I wasn't just their daughter. I was a soldier, and I was done being silent. For a long time, I didn't tell anyone what my parents had done. Not my friends, not my unit, not even the few relatives who still checked in on me after deployment. Speaking it out loud felt too raw, too humiliating, like admitting I had been foolish enough to trust the very people who taught me what trust was supposed to mean. Instead, I moved quietly. I rented a small studio apartment near the edge of town. It had thin walls, unreliable heat, and no view of the lake. But it was mine, and for the first time since coming home, that mattered more than comfort. At night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every memory, every hug, every promise, every reassuring message they'd sent while I was overseas. Each one felt poisoned now. Some mornings, the weight of it all pressed so hard on my chest that breathing felt like work. Grief isn't loud at first. It's slow. It seeps in, settles into your bones, and makes ordinary things exhausting. I cried in the shower so no one could hear. I screamed into pillows. Then, eventually, the tears stopped coming. That silence scared me more than the pain, so I gave it direction. The first lawyer I met listened without interrupting. He studied the documents, the forged signatures, the sale dates overlapping my deployment. When he looked up, his expression wasn't sympathy, it was certainty. They broke the law, he said simply, in more ways than one. I nodded but said nothing. I didn't want revenge yet. I wanted truth. I wanted accountability. I wanted them to understand what they had destroyed. We worked slowly. Methodically, every email from my parents, every photo they'd sent from the lake house during my deployment. every military record proving exactly where I had been when they claimed I'd signed papers in person. The deeper we dug, the uglier it became. They hadn't just sold the house, they'd rushed the process. Cut corners, lied repeatedly. They'd told friends I'd given my blessing. They'd told family I was too busy to care. They wore my silence like permission. And I let them. I still answered their occasional calls, kept my voice neutral, let them believe I was hurting but helpless. My mother cried once, saying she hoped I'd forgive them someday. My father warned me not to drag the family through mud. I said nothing. Because silence isn't weakness, it's preparation. On days when the anger flared, I went running until my lungs burned. On nights when doubt crept in, I reminded myself of the woman I'd become during deployment, disciplined, observant, unbreakable. War had taught me patience, strategy, timing. This was no different. Months passed. The court date was set. I didn't tell my parents until they were served papers at their front door. My phone exploded with messages, rage, panic, guilt, denial. "How could you do this to us?" My mother screamed in a voicemail. I listened once, then deleted it. The night before court, I couldn't sleep, not from fear, but from clarity. I laid out my uniform for the morning, pressed and perfect. I didn't wear it for intimidation. I wore it to remind myself who I was. I stood in front of the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked older, sharper, stronger. The girl who once believed love meant blind loyalty was gone. In her place stood someone who understood a harder truth. Sometimes the people who betray you most are the ones who raised you. And sometimes justice doesn't come from shouting. It comes from waiting. Tomorrow the silence would end. And everything they had taken from me would finally have a voice. The courtroom was colder than I expected. Not in temperature, but in feeling sterile, unforgiving, stripped of emotion. Wooden benches, pale walls. The kind of place where stories are reduced to facts, and love means nothing unless it's backed by evidence. My parents arrived together. My mother clutched her purse like a shield. My father walked with forced confidence, chin lifted, eyes scanning the room as if searching for allies. When he saw me, something flickered across his face, surprise, maybe, or fear. I didn't look away. We didn't speak. When the judge entered, the room rose as one. My heart pounded, but my posture didn't change. I had faced worse rooms than this. Louder ones, deadlier ones. The case began, document by document. The truth unfolded, the forged signature. The sale finalized while I was actively deployed. The emails assuring me everything was fine, while they emptied my home. The buyer's testimony, the county clerk confirming the discrepancies. My mother began to cry softly. My father shifted in his seat. Then the judge leaned forward. "Mr. he said to my father, his voice calm but sharp, "Did your daughter give you written or verbal permission to sell her property?" My father cleared his throat. "She's our daughter, we believed." "That is not what I asked," the judge interrupted. "No," my father admitted. The word hung heavy in the air. The judge nodded once, then continued. "You forged the signature of an active duty service member. Do you understand the severity of that action?" My father's face drained of color. His mouth opened, then closed again. "Yes," he whispered. The judge removed his glasses and set them down carefully. "This court finds the defendants guilty of fraud, unlawful sale, and exploitation of an absent service member." My mother let out a broken sob. The ruling came swiftly after that. Full return of the sale proceeds, additional damages, legal fees. A referral for criminal investigation. Each sentence felt like a door slamming shut on the lie they'd built. My father stood abruptly. For a moment I thought he was going to argue. Instead, his knees buckled. His body crumpled back into the chair, hands gripping the armrests, breath shallow and panicked. The courtroom erupted into motion. The judge called for order. A bailiff rushed forward. My mother cried his name. I remained seated, not because I lacked compassion, but because I had already grieved the father I thought I had. Weeks later, the money was returned, every cent, more, actually, but no amount could restore what was lost between us. Family gatherings stopped. Friends whispered, "The truth has a way of spreading when it's finally free." I didn't buy the old lake house back. Instead, I found another one, smaller, quieter, mine in a way the first one never truly was. On my first morning there, I stood on the dock as the sun rose over the water. I breathed deeply. No memories haunted this place. No voices echoed with betrayal. I nailed a simple wooden sign near the shore. Just one name, mine. Justice didn't come with fireworks or celebration. It came with peace, with closure, with the understanding that I didn't need their approval, or their love to stand whole. They taught me many things growing up, but the most important lesson came after they betrayed me. I could survive losing them, and I could still build a life worth loving.